wanted to say is thank you, because actually client support is around everyone here, and you're giving of your skills, your expertise, your time, your energy is fundamental to the work that I do, because client support starts with that provision of food, and the strong foundations that have been built up means that we can add to that with the provision of advice and signposting to clients. I joined actually to start helping the Food Hub with specialist stacking of shelves and sorting of products with Kevin, my husband, in September, I think 2019. And then I became a client support volunteer in December of that year, before the pandemic started, because we realised we needed to be more proactive in working with some of our long-term clients to really get underneath what were the needs and the issues, and were they getting the right support at the right time in the right way. Since I started, I've also become involved in the Food Stop, providing the same support to clients, which is fantastic because it enables us to see that end-to-end support for clients across their journey and across their needs. So I've supported upwards of about 50 people in the last year and a half with really diverse needs. And as a client support volunteer, our role is fundamentally about signposting people to services that can help them. We're not the experts. It's not appropriate that we take on that role. Before the pandemic, we had that great facility of being able to operate in the church, as Louise said, with Welfare Rights, who are a fantastic team. But after the pandemic started, thank goodness we were able to change our model and still continue to provide clients with food, and just do it in a different way. And we realised that we had to maintain face-to-face contact and dialogue, because you can't get into the right kind of conversations easily over the phone to start with. So I sort of evolved the role to work with Jean on looking at clients who might be in need, who might have been with us a longer time, or where it was clear they needed support right from the start, to take their delivery of food, their food parcel, out to them, and use that opportunity to ask on the doorstep, how were they? What was going on for them? Was there any support that would be useful to them? Now, it's fair to say that at the start of the pandemic and through those early months, a lot of the issues we saw were job loss, or people who had been made redundant and hadn't been given the opportunity to have furlough. So lots of different circumstances around that. But now, over the last few months, I think everyone will have seen the job market has significantly improved. And so what I'm seeing now is clients with longer term, more complex needs. Very often that's around debt, housing, and also people who've got no recourse to public funds. Many of our clients have physical or mental health needs, which means they can't work. They're on fixed incomes. And some of those conversations at the doorstep have been quite confronting. They've involved discussions about prostitution, alcoholism, drug use, domestic violence. And I'm really fortunate to have been able to refer people to organisations that have the depth of expertise that can offer help. And they range from people like the Pearly Cross Centre, Christians Against Poverty, the domestic violence organisations in Croydon, Citizens Advice, the wonderful Welfare Rights team at Croydon, which is sadly missed, and some other teams in Croydon Council too. And through that learning, I've also been supported by the great information folders that perhaps people who used to volunteer at the church will remember. I think Ivanka and Steve, and I'm sure Louise, probably Jean, everyone had a hand in putting those together, and they're fantastic resources. But also by the great training and information sessions which have come from Croydon Voluntary Action. It's great to meet Sarah after Zooming with her on numerous occasions. and it's helped me to learn a lot about the support that is available in Croydon and the networks that exist around Croydon. And I've also done a lot of research myself. It's just as I've gone along, and there are some great networks and tools that are available. But for many of our clients, they are not digitally enabled. Yes, you'll see them with phones, but that phone might just have 20 pence, 30 pence a pound, in data usage. Clients will tell me they've got email addresses. I say, well, that's great, I'll email you information. But then they don't actually use their emails because they haven't got the data for it, their laptop broke down. So many of the ways in which we might think that people will engage aren't necessarily right for people in poverty or with limited resources. And one of the great tools that was available to help people, which is the library network, as we know, has really reduced. So it's challenging times. I think anyone who's listened to the radio or watched television the last couple of days will start to see broadcasts about the universal credit cut. And you'll also have experienced yourselves the cost of living increases, the energy rises, the fuel price rises. And those are really tangible issues which are taking money out of the pockets of people, many of whom are on a fixed income. They don't have the ability to raise their income. So it makes it incredibly challenging for them. But what heartens me is the fact that we have set up, in fact you, I'm sort of latecomer to this, you have set up such great foundations in the Food Hub and in the Food Stop as well in Purley and in Selsdon. That gives us great networks to build and great potential to think about the possibilities over the next year as different challenges unfold. What perhaps might we do differently? I should add though that one of the sad things about the last few weeks is that we've seen food stops closed. We've seen the Parchmore Road food stop, which was one of the 4 food stops originally set up by with the council support, where people could get £20 worth of food for £3.50 a week. That's closed. We've seen the Heads Together food bank as well, which was set up quite recently, also close. So I think we have an enormous opportunity to see how can we leverage our strength to potentially support and share our knowledge and our learnings with other teams across the borough. It's fantastic to have Nick and Leslie joining us as client support volunteers. You could not get more expertise, having run the floating shelter for the past 14 years, and also having worked with the Vine and the Croydon Refugee Centre and a whole range of other organisations. So they're coming round to my house tomorrow to share their knowledge, and for Jean and Steve and I, just to talk about how we build that relationship going forward. But we would love to have other volunteers as well. So if you are interested in becoming involved, or you know someone else who might be, please encourage them to come forward. It is really interesting and very rewarding work. And every time I work with a client, I know that I have made a difference, made a contribution, and hopefully given them some very practical knowledge and information that will help them to move forward, as well as that fundamental gift, which is that gift of food. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you in the years ahead.